I think my advice is really just to not only seize all opportunities, but leverage all the resources around you, right?
Right,
So
right.
I think a contributor to like my earlier burnout is I was still trying to do this thing of like, I need to do it. I have to hold on to all these things. Like, I need to do all these deliverables, da da da. Like, if I didn't do it myself, if I ask for help,
Right.
then it's showing my inability in one way or another. So I always tell people, like, honestly, ask for help. Like, leverage the people around you. Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't make you lesser
sure.
than. It doesn't mean that you feel if you don't understand what's happening. In fact, you're better off for it.
Yeah,
So
100%.
leverage every single resource. As I said, people, even with like my trajectory, like getting to Stanford, people are sitting here like, you were smart, so therefore it was just like that.
Yeah,
No, like
no.
a lot of work,
You tried, yeah, like
a
going to
lot of work
Switzerland,
got
doing like
into like
this.
a lot of work got into like
Yes.
my acceptance, right?
Yeah.
So even with my job now, like it's not just like you apply. How many people want to be in management consulting, right?
That's true.
Prep,
Hundreds.
prepped.
Yeah.
Did so many like case studies with friends, with people,
Right.
practicing.
Right.
Because if I had actually applied to work at the same firm before
Okay.
and
Didn't
didn't
get
get
it.
in because I didn't prep, I didn't do the work, I didn't understand what I needed to do. I didn't understand you need to be internally referred. I didn't understand like this is the things that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Like in the interview, this is how you go about it. Like asking those questions,
Right.
and then from there actually practicing the case interviews
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm just like leverage all your resources, prep, practice, do the work, um, because it's nothing is ever a given, right?
That's
Just
true.
because you have XYZ doesn't mean that you'll get a set
Yeah.
outcome. So leverage it, because also like, and also outsource and delegate.
Yeah.
I guess
Very important.
that's the other
Yeah.
one too. Like,
Yeah.
nobody will fault you. I don't think anybody gets to where they are because of their efforts solely.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
I think it's a very
Yeah. No, I
important
agree. Like
learning
you
and
need to
takeaway.
understand like what you're capable of doing
Yes,
and what you need to outsource. This is
yes.
very important. Like
Like, what value can other people bring? Like, how can
yeah.
you work to the same goals, or like how can people contribute? Because I'm like, we're all working towards
That's
something,
true.
so like
That's true.
let's leverage each other's strengths.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
And that's how it should be.
yeah,
That's what collaboration is
yeah,
essentially,
yeah.
for sure. Awesome. So the next question I have for you is, where are you heading to? You know, what are some things you're hoping to achieve in the next couple of years?
Yeah. I always find this quite a hard question.
Okay.
um, because even like the story I've given, like my pathway, it's not
Yeah.
always been as clear. I mean, now in
Right.
retrospect, everything
It
makes sense.
seems true, true,
it,
true.
it all flows, but like there
Yeah.
were a lot of times where I was just winging it, and like
Yeah.
it happened to help me get to where I am.
Right.
But I think going forward, I'm still trying to be very intentional about my next steps in terms of like values, where I want to be and how I want to
Right.
work.
Right.
I think I'm starting to hone in my focus in terms of like social impact and development,
Right.
really trying to understand like the nexus of like climate sustainability in business,
Interesting.
because it's very critical and key going forward.
Right.
So like, how can we help, like especially on the continent in Africa, we're probably going to be the most impacted by climate change,
True.
even though we contributed very little towards it.
Very little. Yeah.
Like 3% of emissions came from Africa, like less than the 3%,
Wow.
to be
Wow.
honest. So it's like trying to understand how we can adapt, how we can push
Yeah.
forward. There's also a lot of money in climate finance right now
Right.
that's earmarked towards helping adapt and mitigate the impacts. But I don't think regionally we're set up to understand like how to access that, right?
Right.
So it's like figuring out how I can play a role in that space, because I
Right.
think it's going to be very crucial going forward.
Mhm.
At least in the very near term, I'm also thinking about going back and getting a master's degree. I think